Have you ever walked into a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Like no matter how much you tried to fit in, something deep inside you whispered, "You don't belong here." If you've ever felt that way, then today's video is going to change the way you see yourself forever. Because the most powerful man who ever walked this earth, Jesus Christ, felt the exact same thing, and not by accident, by divine design. Today, we are going to uncover one of the most profound and misunderstood truths about Jesus, why he never felt like he belonged to this world, and what that means for you and me right now. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share might be the most important thing you hear this year. When we think about Jesus, we often picture someone powerful, surrounded by crowds, performing miracles. And yes, that's all true. But look a little deeper, look at the man behind the miracles, and you begin to see something incredibly tender and incredibly lonely. Jesus was born in a manger, not a palace. He had no permanent home. He was misunderstood by his own family, rejected by his own people, betrayed by his closest friends, and ultimately crucified by the very world he came to save. This was not a mistake. This was not bad luck. This was a man who understood from the very beginning that this earth was not his final destination, and that understanding, that deep spiritual knowing, shaped everything he did, everything he said, and everyone he loved. So the question is, why? Why did Jesus never feel at home in this world? And what does it mean for those of us who sometimes feel the same? Section 1. He knew where he came from. The first reason Jesus never felt like he belonged here is simple, but earth-shaking. He knew exactly where he came from. In the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 23, Jesus looks directly at the religious leaders of his time and says these words, "You are from below, I am from above. You are of this world. I am not of this world." This wasn't arrogance. This was identity. Jesus had a clarity about who he was that most of us spend our entire lives searching for. Think about what it feels like to be in a foreign country. Everything looks different. The language is different. The food is different. The rules are different. You can adapt. You can be polite. You can even enjoy parts of it. But deep in your soul, you know you're far from home. That is exactly how Jesus experienced this world. He was heaven's ambassador living inside an earthly body. He walked on the same ground we walk on, breathed the same air we breathe, felt hunger and tiredness and grief, but his soul was always tuned to a different frequency, a higher frequency, and that frequency never fully aligned with the noise of this world. This is why Jesus could sit with the broken, the rejected, the outcasts, and truly understand their pain. He wasn't performing compassion. He was expressing it from the deepest place of his being, because he too knew what it felt like to be somewhere that didn't quite feel like home. Section 2. His kingdom was not here. The second reason Jesus never belonged to this world is that his entire mission, his entire purpose, was pointed somewhere else. When the Roman governor Pontius Pilate asked Jesus whether he was a king, a question loaded with political danger, Jesus gave an answer that stunned the entire room. In John chapter 18, verse 36, he said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest. But now my kingdom is from another place." Notice what Jesus did not say. He did not say, "I have no kingdom." He said his kingdom is from another place. This is one of the most important distinctions in all of Scripture. Jesus was not anti-establishment. He was not a rebel without a cause. He was a king, but his crown was not made of gold. His throne was not built by human hands. His power did not come from armies or politics or wealth. It came from something this world cannot manufacture, cannot buy, and cannot destroy. And this created a kind of permanent tension between Jesus and the world around him. The world operates on power, status, money, and fear. Jesus operated on love, truth, grace, and sacrifice. These two systems are fundamentally incompatible. So every single day that Jesus walked this earth, he was living by a completely different set of rules than everyone around him. Of course, he didn't fit in. Kings don't blend into crowds. Light doesn't mix with darkness. Truth doesn't make peace with lies. Section 3. The world rejected him. The third reason, and perhaps the most painful one, is that the world didn't just misunderstand Jesus. It actively rejected him. The Gospel of John opens with one of the most heartbreaking sentences ever written. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Let that sink in for a moment. Jesus came to his own people, his own creation, the world he had a hand in forming, and they said no. They looked at perfect love walking in human flesh and decided they didn't want it. His hometown rejected rejected him. His family questioned his sanity. The religious leaders called him demon-possessed. His own disciples fell asleep when he needed them most. One betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Another denied him 3 times before sunrise. And the crowds who had shouted Hosanna on Sunday were shouting Crucify him by Friday. This pattern of rejection was not occasional. It was constant. It was relentless. And it would have broken any ordinary human being. But here's the breathtaking thing. It didn't break Jesus. Why? Because his sense of belonging was never rooted in the approval of this world. He didn't need the crowd's applause to feel worthy. He didn't need the Pharisees' validation to feel righteous. He didn't need anyone's permission to be who he was. His identity was anchored so deeply in his relationship with the Father that no amount of human rejection could shake it. In John chapter 15, verse 19, he tells his disciples, "If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you." This was not a warning of defeat. It was a badge of honor. Section 4. He was always moving toward home. The fourth and final reason Jesus never felt like he belonged here is the most beautiful one, because he was always moving toward home. Every step Jesus took in this earth was a step toward the cross, and every moment after the cross was a step toward resurrection, ascension, and glory. Jesus was never settling in this world. He was passing through it on a mission with a beginning, a middle, and a glorious end. In John chapter 17, Jesus prays what is called the high priestly prayer, the most intimate conversation with the Father recorded anywhere in the Bible. And in verse 5 he says, "And now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began." Before the world began, before creation, before time itself, Jesus had a home, a glory, a relationship with the Father that predated everything we know, and he was going back to it. This world was never meant to be his permanent address. It was a temporary assignment, a divine mission, a love story that required him to leave home so that we could find ours. That is why the letter to the Hebrews says that Jesus endured the cross, scorning its shame because of the joy set before him, the joy set before him. What was that joy? It was going home. It was completing his mission. It was seeing you and me, every broken, searching, lonely soul, find the belonging that he himself had left behind in order to give us. Application: what this means for you. Now here is why all of this matters for your life today. If you have ever felt out of place in this world, if you have ever looked around at the values this culture celebrates and felt a quiet unease in your soul, if you have ever tried to fit in and just couldn't shake the feeling that you were made for something more, then listen carefully. That feeling is not a problem. That feeling is a pointer. It is pointing you toward your true home. The Apostle Paul writes in Philippians chapter 3, verse 20, "But our citizenship is in heaven, not was, not will be, is." Right now, today, if you belong to Christ, you are already a citizen of a kingdom that this world cannot touch, cannot vote out, cannot bankrupt, and cannot destroy. You are a stranger and an exile here, and that is not an insult. That is your greatest inheritance. The things of this world that feel hollow and empty, that's because they are hollow and empty compared to what you were made for. The relationships that disappoint you, the success that doesn't satisfy you, the restlessness you feel even when everything looks fine. It's your soul recognizing that this is not the final chapter. Jesus never belonged to this world. And if you are truly his, neither do you. But that means something glorious. You belong somewhere. You belong to him, you belong with him, and one day, one extraordinary, unimaginable day, you will go home, and it will have been worth every moment of feeling like you didn't quite fit in down here. If this video spoke to you today, I want you to do one thing. Leave a comment below with the word home. Just that one word. You belong to him, you belong with him, and one day, one extraordinary, unimaginable day, you will go home, and it will have been worth every moment of feeling like you didn't quite fit in down here.